Okay. So hello to all the trainees of SocialB Project, and especially today I would like to welcome our guest, a person from practice, Jose Antonio Morales. Hi, Jose.
Hi, Irma. Hi, everybody. Very happy to be here with you.
So are we. The reason why we are hosting here today Jose is because he is something special. He actually started with a completely fresh idea of co-working in Murska Sobota. Usually co-working spaces are in a way coordinated by towns, cities, etc. But here Jose started something different. Looking upon his webpage and of course, especially some graphics which points out the facilities and activities he is actually providing there, gives us an opportunity to set a couple of questions to Jose, and we are very glad that Jose is willing to answer them. Okay, Jose. Why did you start with co-working? You actually migrated to Slovenia and started with this. So let's have an icebreaker first.
Super. So basically, I was an IT person in the past. I was working very much with Microsoft and technology and software development. Then I got in love with Tatiana and I came to Slovenia. So I worked for 7 years in technology. I continued working with Microsoft technology. But then after getting close to my 40th birthday, I decided to make a radical change. Okay, and that change was to move out of the world of technology. Why? Don't ask me. But it was just kind of an instinct. So I dedicated myself to gardening and riding my bicycle, and I was really getting bored like crazy. And I decided to go to Vienna and explore how the world of business and entrepreneurship is there. And I found a place called the Impact Hub Vienna, a co-working space. So that was my first interaction with a co-working. And I got in love with this because I saw a diversity of people from many different backgrounds, different ages, interacting in a fantastic environment. So I thought, I have to bring this to Premuria, to Murska Sobota. And that's how everything started.
Mm-hmm. Now,
should I go deeper?
Yes. First of all, I would like to ask you, what's the time frame now? From your perspective, when you started with idea of co-working, and now after a couple of years, how many years have you been on this? And a little bit deeper, yes.
Super. So basically, the original idea was completely wrong. So I thought that bringing the model of the Impact Hub to Murska Sobota was going to be a fantastic success. Mm-hmm. That business model was, you have members that pay a fixed fee, you have a space that you can rent out, and you cover your expenses that way. It never happened. It never happened. So our expenses were fixed and our number of members not. So that meant that many months that we had less members than expected, I had to cover the difference. So that was the first big realization. So the co-working model is not the same for a city, right, and for a small city or a town. Mm-hmm. But considering that in Murska Sobota, I think that we're around 20,000 persons. At that moment, I had no idea about the concept of rural co-working. That is something that we can talk a bit later. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that was a very big realization. So everything that I thought was wrong. I also thought that as soon as I would call entrepreneurs, we were going to have hundreds of persons going around. And what I found in the best of success were 6.
Mhm. And with the number of 6, you couldn't cover the expenses. So.
Exactly.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
so every month I was leaking money.
Okay, so this is something to go behind the story of success. Let's go to the second question. Why actually did you think that Murska Sobota, a municipality of 20,000, as you mentioned, needs this kind of co-working? So is this co-working something between the social challenge of this area and between the social innovation, because you were the first one who brought this to this environment?
Yes. First of all, I forgot in the previous question to say that we are 7 years in the market. A lot happened since then. I mean, even the biggest co-working space in Slovenia already closed, and we saw a lot of other initiatives sponsored by some municipalities, and great people couldn't make it either. So it's kind of a miracle that the place that everybody thought that was going to close very fast is still alive. Now, to go to your question, what can you show me the question again?
Right now?
Yes, perfect. So at the beginning, I thought that it was something needed because we didn't have it. Okay, so how come that there's no one co-working space in Pomoria region? So that was the only motivation at the beginning. But then I started finding out that it's much more complicated, the situation, right? So if you ask the majority of the people if they need a co-working space, they will probably tell you that no, because they don't know what a co-working space is, right? So the work that we have been doing slowly but surely is to explain what for is a co-working good. That took us years, because first we had to find out what was the problem that we were solving. At the beginning, we thought, I mean, all entrepreneurs want to be together, but that's not the case. What we found is that we are solving the core problem of loneliness. Now, it's not loneliness in a very romantic way. It's loneliness in terms of with whom to talk about something that that you like to talk and nobody understands you, right? So it's a community, right? So once we found that, we were ready to innovate. And now we are finding that more and more people gets closer to the idea of co-working. Now we are the double of the co-working members that we were in the best part of our first season, let's say. And yeah, I don't, you can make me more questions just to clarify.
Well, so you said that the lack of the information perhaps was one thing, then the lack of perhaps communication within the community would be the second one. But why do you think that perhaps some people in perhaps western part of Slovenia were more open to this idea? Was perhaps this heavy industrial heritage with a high percentage of unemployed person and out-migration of quite a lot of white young people to Austria, also perhaps the reason why people actually did not grasp your idea at first?
I think that culturally, the people here tends to find a job. And if they are looking for a job that gives them some security and predictability, kind of, they do not need a co-working space. Second, that they think, so they are not familiar with co-working. Therefore, they tend to connect the idea of co-working with other ideas that they know, like, for example, a technology park or a business incubator, or even a development agency. So at the beginning, we got persons asking if we can give them funds, if we are an organization that provides tenders or these kind of opportunities or free trainings. Mm-hmm. So it is kind of a confusion. But at the same time, being such a small organization, we didn't have the power to make a big enough campaign to educate the people about what means co-working. Mm-hmm. And to be absolutely honest, I thought I knew what co-working was, but it was co-working for cities that I learned about. It is not co-working for small areas. There's another aspect that here in Pomoria, the people have more space and different priorities. And by having more space, that means that you can have a home office that is comfortable enough for you to work. Mm-hmm. Therefore, why would I go to a co-working space if I can work at home, right? And actually, when I asked to my members, why? They answered, because when my house is already too messy, it's better to go to the co-working space that is ordered.
Well, a part of your answer actually linked the reasons why you were not actually so, how should I put it, successful in the first round, is that we have quite a strong institutionalization in Pomorska region, because development agency, incubators, and technological park are the institutions that were brought here, mostly in the pre-accession period, and of course after Slovenia's integration into EU. And it looks like that the people knew these three pillars, and this was everything on their mind map. And they didn't have knowledge, information, and even have the mind open to this at first. But you're right, I agree. If people have more space and place, they don't think about co-working first. Okay, so you said that you had first 6 people with you, now you doubled. How is your daily work? How do your daily work looks like in the co-working?
It looks like no work. This is probably one of the biggest achievements from my point of view. So initially, I had to clean, I had to take care of everything, the plants, watering the plants, having everything in order, trashing the trash cans and everything. But once we brought our new way of operating, the entire co-working community activated and got a sense of ownership and responsibility. So I don't have to do anything. I just have to do what I have to do. So for example, if I come to the co-working space and I see that something is dirty, I clean it. Mm-hmm. Right? Or if I see that there are a couple of plastic bags with trash that need to go to I do it. But if I don't, it's no problem, because someone else is going to do it as well. Mm-hmm. Right? So the system now is very distributed, self-distributed, and it acts automatically. So I do not have a specific function. I'm still seen like the kind of the manager of the place. So I have an additional responsibility. Actually, I have a legal responsibility with the organization. But in terms of the day-to-day, is very flexible. So sometimes I have to go to work in my Gorica, in my orchard. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. And so I just go, and I don't have to tell anybody, because whoever that is going to come here is going to take care for the space. So we managed, of course, we're a small group, But as a small group, we managed to be very decentralized and very organic. So yeah, and actually every member has a key, so they can get access to the space whenever they want, 24 hours a day. There's no limitation. So we don't have to hire anyone to be a host for the co-working space. The only person that we pay monthly is a person that comes to help us with cleaning. But that's it.
That's it. So it looks like that the members of your co-working community actually took upon the responsibility, and that the working space became working place. They feel attached, responsible, and that's very important. So you said that you have 24/7 if they want working hours. And how is the work of your partners look like? Because you said, I work, if I need, I come to this place. If I have some seasonal jobs in my orchards, I go there. But what is their daily routine?
Amazingly, is similar. So what I found is that, well, the majority of the members here are independent professionals. There are only two that work in the same company. Okay, but everyone is extremely independent, and they take their personal responsibilities, like, I don't know, going to the bank or going to buy groceries, very importantly. So they find their times and they do what they have to do, and they appreciate that lifestyle of flexibility. So as soon as they think that they need to concentrate or to work, they have the option of deciding to stay at home and working at home, or coming to the co-working space and work from here. So there are some co-working members that come later at night because they have customers in America. So this is ideal for them because then they get the whole space for them. So, and that's an advantage in comparison with home. But there are some members that come once a week. We have one member that shows up on Saturday mornings only because he knows that nobody else is going to be, and he wants to be alone and in peace to read his newspaper or do whatever he does. And somehow we even know about it. So nobody comes on Saturday morning.
That's nice. Tell me, Jose, if it's not a secret, what kind of profiles of these people you are actually connecting in this co-working?
Right now we have predominantly IT people, but we have also translators. We have two persons that care about marketing and digital marketing. One of these persons also cares a lot about food. And let me think. And we have a businessman that opened a dentist, how to call this, place or business. He's not a dentist, but he manages the place. He hires a dentist to work therein. And very active person, but he's from TUI, so he's not coming very often. Yep. So,
and to add additional information, what kind of age structure of these entrepreneurs you would underline?
Yeah, definitely I'm the older one, but the majority are in their 30s.
Okay, so where do you think your business, Aurora Coworking, actually suits into the structure or the idea of social innovation? Where are you then innovative in a social manner?
Yes, so here the social innovation is in the business model. Okay, and it's incredible. I don't know if it, I mean, in theory, it's a social innovation. In reality, I'm not 100% sure, because it's so simple and even a bit dumb that I don't know if it is too innovative. Okay, so I remember doing this with my friends when I had 6 years old, we were selling some stuff that we were stealing from our parents in a park. They were giving us some money, and with that money, we all together went to buy candy, right? And then we were storing our candy for 3 months. It was like a chest of gold. And what we do here is precisely the same. We see how are our expenses this month, how many of us are here, and we divide it in equal parts. Mm-hmm. So that's it. That's it. But why is it an innovation? In my opinion, because there are not many that are doing this. We implemented it successfully, and it provided incredible results. So that ownership that we talked about before happens because of that. There's a sense of we are here for each other, not for the business of the founder. And actually, one of my members reminds me all the time that this is not my business. Right? Yeah. So they took such an ownership because of this new structure that we created, that that I'm forbidden to make a business out of it. And so that's brilliant, because the system became very resilient and self-sustaining. So the innovation includes the idea that this organization is not a business and it's not meant to pay for the salary of anybody. Mm-hmm. And when you talk about this with other co-working operators in Europe, no matter the size, everybody thinks, oh, wow, that's incredible. But then they cannot implement it because their salaries depend on their co-working space. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So they are trying to find a way of how to keep having their salaries and get the structure that provides ownership to the members at the same time.
So you're like a magician then.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it is like a trick. It is very simple. And you know, we went through COVID, and we are having more members than ever before.
Just to clear it up, what's your legal status then? How are you registered in the terms of Slovenian law?
Yes, so the initial registration was a DO, so an LLC. And after a few years, once available, we became a social business.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And another important thing is you, between the lines, said that in a way you wanted to be a rural incubator. And right now, since you are located in a town of 12,000 inhabitants, municipality has 20, do you consider yourself as a rural incubator?
Yes, because we found a definition that says that rural spaces or towns or cities are having around 50,000 inhabitants. And so we thought of that kind of a standard. Maybe it's not very academic, but in general works, because we've seen that in Europe, the co-working spaces that operate in cities or towns with under 50K people have a very similar DNA, right? So they do not thrive on memberships. They do not thrive on renting spaces. They do not thrive on training courses and programs. So all of them struggle with the same kind of issues. And in the cities, it's completely different.
I can imagine. So I think that now we came to the point where we can set up the third question. When I was preparing myself for this interview with you, I was talking about so-called enigmatic triangle. So you have a vision and it looks like you were changing it, and the practice brings interesting results. So what might be your near future ideas? And at the same time, how do you manage to survive, to develop, and that the business of your community stays sustainable?
Yes. So to be honest, at some point, a few years ago, knowing that my business was never going to be a business, I was starting to worry because how am I going to get an income, right? So I figured that I have to start developing my other abilities in order to make my income and let the organization operate by itself. Along the way, as part of my training with the Ashoka group in Austria, they were pushing me strong with the idea of scaling up. That scaling up could be an alternative to make an income, at least a basic income, through the idea of co-working. But I just couldn't figure how to do it, how to make that happen, until it started happening by itself. So first of all, I was very frustrated with the Slovenian ecosystem of social entrepreneurs, because it was very easy to me to compare the ecosystem in Austria, because I was interacting so much with Vienna, and to see that in Slovenia we have basically the same, a very similar culture, let's say, and we're so close to them, but it looked like the different components of the ecosystem were not yet integrated. Okay, so that frustration made me think, how can we get together, at least the co-working spaces, and become a functional part of the ecosystem? I talked with other co-working spaces, and I didn't get really any special interest, because everyone is focused on how to solve their existing problems. So I said, okay, I'm going to start a cooperative, so that they will not think that I want to be the boss of the party, and that this is something that is distributed. So right now we are 3 co-working spaces active, and 1 co-working space that is being created. So very soon we are going to be 4 co-working spaces. So what I'm trying to say is that from Aurora Coworking in Murska Sobota, and with the idea of scaling up, I thought of co-working as an integrator of the ecosystem in Slovenia. And it's happening. Little by little, it is happening. That was one thing. The other thing was to share the idea of how Aurora Coworking operates today. And I think it is a success because we lasted 7 years in the market. We are probably the oldest private co-working space in Slovenia. So I started talking in an audience of European operators of co-working, and they loved the idea. And actually, they invited me to organize this project called the European Rural Co-working Project. So now we have a network of close to 70 rural spaces in multiple countries in Europe, saying, yes, we need to get together. So if you see, the scaling up idea started to work, okay? So first of all, we solved our survival by thinking this is not a business. We are starting to evolve into a bigger network that can become at some point in a network of networks. And we are starting to find out that there are some common needs in the digital economy that we can participate on. Okay, so we can provide platforms for all these rural co-working spaces in order to facilitate communication, cooperation, et cetera, et cetera. So that is in development, right? And I start to suspect that at some point, I don't know when, but at some point I will be able to rely on an income that is connected with the idea of co-working.
But you said that in a way you were actually contributing to the establishment of new co-working spaces. Can you perhaps indicate in which part of Slovenia you were putting your new flowers into the soil?
Yes, so one of them is in Gorenska. One of the others is in Kostanjevica na Krki. And the other one that is not yet existing is looking like going to be in, it's close to Ljubljana. I just forgot the name.
Don't bother with that.
Yeah, I forgot the name, but it's pretty close to Ljubljana in the way to the coast, okay?
Okay. But
yeah, and I really hope to start finding cooperation with other kind of organizations that already have co-working spaces to join to the network. So I guess that we have to set up cooperation with municipalities, with regional development agencies, and to see how are we going to manage, right? So I really hope that in a couple of years we could say that the co-working spaces connected to this network will have at least 200 members. That's my vision.
That's your vision. But tell me, these 3 new places, co-working places, will they have the same business model as yours, or they will try to adapt to the local culture, local needs? How do you actually advise them? How do you find these people that match your ideas and your vision?
Yeah, so I think that the persons that are in this network care about the community of entrepreneurs. They care about diversity. They are not thinking of being successful co-working operators. They never thought, I will build a business with co-working, okay? So they are just normal, independent professionals that they say, oh, wow, I would really love to work with 2 or 3 or 4 persons in the same place, because then I have with whom to talk, right? So that's the motivation at the beginning. When they ask me about the Aurora Coworking, I tell them exactly what I shared with you, right? So this is the business model, and I really strongly recommend you to think about it because you start being sustainable. But for example, in the place in close to Krka, in Kostanjevica, they have so little amount of people around that that model would not work. So we are transforming that co-working so that it is going to be more like a co-workation. And that means a space of co-working, so where you can go to work, but that is connected with the idea of having a vacation or a holidays, right? So maybe you want to bring a couple of persons from your own company or partners to discuss some ideas and then have great food and go to the river with some soup boards and have some fun. So we are thinking on that place more as a retreat place for entrepreneurs and business owners. So obviously the business model is completely different because of that specific characteristic.
Yeah, it's good that you don't have a cookie model actually everywhere the same, but you adapt to this. Tell me regarding the age structure of the people you are now attracting. Are these mostly people, as you said, in Murska Sobota, you were the senior, but now when on these 3 different locations, did you attract mostly younger people, or even some people with more experiences in career?
Yeah, so one of the new, so the new co-working space information is going to be owned by a person that is over 40s. The space in Kostanjevica is operated by a person of around my age, and the co-working space in in Gorenska is a person in her late 30s, if I'm not wrong. And her group of members is around the same age.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay, so the next step is then to connect to the institutionalized co-working places in Slovenia, trying to attract the mayors, the decision and the policy makers, and of course, other people who have similar interests and that are able to share the community space as well. Tell me, Jose, do you find that Slovenia in the future will be a suitable place for social entrepreneurs? And of course, where are still the missing parts of this system?
Social entrepreneurship for me is the future of this world. And cooperation is the basic or the fundamental part of it. In Slovenia, we need to learn more, and I'm including myself, on how to cooperate. So it looks like we can cooperate in small groups, specifically when the resources are available. But it looks like we do not know to cooperate to generate resources. But Slovenia is so, you know, when I arrived to Slovenia and my parents were asking me, how is it, right? I was surprised with the incredible amount of rituals and rich culture at every little town that I visited. That doesn't happen in Lima, where I was born. And how much the people love nature and their time in nature. So you see, I was telling to my father, you see Slovenians walking, running, riding everywhere. That's something that doesn't happen in a city like Lima, and that's what I was surprised. So what I'm trying to say is that probably one of the most important values that I perceive in Slovenia as a nation is quality of life. And quality of life means community. And that is ingrained in Slovenian society, but it's not ingrained in Slovenian economy. And I think that we are starting to get to connect both of them. So social entrepreneurship, social innovation are forces for good that are very familiar to the Slovenian mindset. Mm-hmm. The big question is, how do I get a salary being social? Mm-hmm. Right? And another characteristic that I see in Slovenia is that we are scared about the future. We want to be safe. We want to take risks. You see, Slovenians are great at so many things, right? But the big majority are a bit reserved as far as I can perceive. So I think that a combination of private initiative and public initiative is key here to facilitate Slovenian people to take the risk. Because if Aurora Coworking, without being a business, succeeded, that means that almost everything can succeed just with the intention of having cooperation. I really found it difficult, maybe because of me being a foreigner, maybe because of my limitation with Slovenian language, to establish cooperation with public organizations or semi-public organizations. But that is not stopping me, right? And what I'm trying to do is to learn how to create the conditions for that cooperation to happen. And that's why of this cooperative, we're going to make it inevitable.
Mm-hmm. I really like this, your positive, optimistic approach to this, because I think that there are numerous opportunities which we are really not aware of. But I think that the near future will bring us to the thought that we should develop more intensively into this. So let's invite our trainees to Murska Sobota, because Aurora Networking in the next couple of days is going to resettle on the main road. Could you give us a hint where we can find you?
Yes. So this is so fresh, nobody knows. So it's secret for you and you guys. We are basically moving out of our traditional place in Lendavska Street, very close to the center, to be in the main street. I don't even know what's the name of the street, but the building is called Blagovnica. It's very close to the main hotel. It's very close to the oldest restaurant, and it's the center. Even the Tržnica is on the back. The bus station is there. We are moving this week. So this is probably the last video that I'm making from Aurora Coworking version 1. The next space is going to be a bit bigger, with more common areas. And I'm extremely happy because there are other kind of organizations that operate in the same building. So we are going to be able to integrate them into our coworking. So we will have more diversity of professions there and different age ranges as well. And as far as I'm listening, I don't know if this is true or not, some of the local public organizations might move to the same building as well. So Destiny is bringing us together, and I think that that's going to be the foundation for more cooperation with the local organizations.
That's really good news. Let's keep our fingers crossed, and also let's keep that the Roman goddess of dawn, as Aurora is, will take care of you as well. So thank you very much, Jose, for this great experience that you shared this with us. And let's hope that the next time when we meet, also public institutions will in a way integrate with your initiative, and that we will be able to work more closely towards to proper social economy. Thank you very much, Jose, for everything.
Thank you so much, Irma. And please be sure to share my contact information with the audience. So if they have some more questions or whatever, they are free to reach me out.
Thank you very much. For sure we will. Thanks.
See you.
See you.